Today is finally here. I am so excited. We are at the ribbon cutting for the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority. Today we're going to be introducing the new board members to the community. You may be saying, well, what is the Fulton County Technology and Energy Authority? It is a new authority that was just passed in this 2021 legislative session, and it's the first time that something like this has happened since 1966 when MARTA was created. So it's an exciting opportunity for Fulton County. In addition to this authority being new to Fulton County, it is also the first in the nation that is specifically focused, a public authority or municipality of sorts. It's the first in the nation that is focused on technology and renewables in an alternative workforce manner. We are trying to get jobs into the hands of a disproportionately affected population of people that are affected by unemployment, high poverty, failing schools, and energy burden. You know, we have people in our communities that cannot even afford their utilities. So the Fulton Technology and Energy Authority will provide jobs without high school diploma or college degrees needed. We will expand fiber within blighted communities, and this is just such an exciting event, and stay tuned for what else is to come.
I think we want to value innovation in our state. We want to be proud of it. We want to be talking about it. We want bills coming out of the legislature that make it easy for people to innovate, like at Georgia Tech or the University of Georgia or Georgia Southern, these research universities. You want the technology coming out, you want the patents done, you want it incubated, and you want businesses to use it. And we've got that model, but getting people to try it out. For example, I'm on my 6th electric car. I was an early adopter. I'm a believer in electric cars, but there are still many people who are very cautious about this, and they're afraid, oh, I'm going to run out of electricity. So that's why I do seminars all over the state. I hold people's hand. I don't shame them into thinking they have to do it. I want them to feel like, yes, this works for me.
I'm here because of the importance of technology and the emerging industry market to the community here to help those people from here stay here. As we deal with the affordability crisis that is spurred by the success of our economic development, too many of the people from here are disaffected, and I want to stay. I want my friends to stay. I want my family to stay. And the only way to do that is to embrace technology and be a part of the economic growth that is going to keep coming. So I think that this new authority is a stroke of genius, brilliant, and very necessary to the survival of the people from this community.
Appointment to the TIA board, the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority, really is going to work extremely hard and in depth on solutions to access for those that have been, for lack of a better term, left behind in certain areas of Fulton County, and we really want to try to bridge the gap between providing people access, spurring economic investment for things like access to technology and better access to energy. I think the idea of providing creative solutions is not only a micro-targeted issue within the area covered by Representative Mainer's district and the area covered by the legislation, but it's also of regional importance. At ARC, we care very much about how the region as a whole grows, and we really are looking forward to providing a lot of data input on the sorts of issues that we'll be tackling on the board and advancing the mission of the authority.
Important work. I think it's consistent with the mantra that anyone in public transit has been pushing for generations, and in my own case for decades, working with transit, trying to connect people. Many of our customers are underprivileged and underserved, and it's been our life's work to connect them with the opportunities, the energies, the empowerment that comes with access to transit as a social network, as an enabler, as something that connects them with economic capabilities. It's been a very important part of our role, and so to be called to join with this group of people in a mandate that is designed to identify and isolate and diminish those factors that remove people from the benefits of economic inclusion.
Good morning, everyone. This is such an exciting day for so many reasons. First off, you have a barcode, and with that barcode, you can share this event that's going to be live streamed today. In addition to it being live streamed, all of our partners that made this event possible, we can support them. The restrooms are right around the corner to your left. We have a couple hundred people that are watching us virtual this morning, so we know that we still are living in a society with COVID, so we intentionally did not do a lot of seats at each table, so you'll feel comfortable with things being spread out. And without further ado, I just want to thank each and every one of you that are here today, also the ones that are online. And we're going to get our day started with an invocation with Reverend Dr. Sylvia Johnson from Friendship Baptist Church, which is my home church.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Let us pray. Dear God, we are excited and grateful for the opportunity to come into your presence, to come into this place, God, to say thank you, Lord. Thank you for this day, and thank you for the reason for which we gather. Lord, we are here today to celebrate the creation of the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority. Somebody ought to say amen to that. Hallelujah. God, we thank you so much for the resources that have already been given and the resources that are yet to come. Father, we thank you for the 7 board members who are chosen to lead this authority. We pray that you would bless the work that you have placed in their hands to do. Oh God, give them the wisdom, the knowledge, and the compassion that they need as they seek to fulfill the goals of this authority. God, we thank you so much for the jobs that will be created, the destinies enhanced, the homes strengthened, and the community enriched by this wonderful authority. And Lord, may our plans be your plans. Thank you so much for the representatives, the senators, and the governing officials who have worked together to make this resource possible. I want to say thank you especially for Representative Maynor and the vision that you have given to her. Thank you, Lord, for her diligence and her courage. Please help her and all of us, Lord, to walk boldly in the vision that you have given. We dedicate this resource to you. We pray your blessings on everyone and everything involved. And Lord, may all be done in your will and to your glory. In Jesus' name I do pray, amen.
A pleasant good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jocelyn Boyd, and I would like to thank you on behalf of iRenewables for joining us this morning. I would like to introduce you guys to the first 2021 inaugural SMART Conference, where diversity, equity, and inclusion merge. This will also be an introduction to the House Bill number 762. I would like to give thanks to our sponsors, which include Mr. Chris Gardner, Atlanta Perinatal Association, Dr. Christopher Redding Edwards, Georgia Apartment Association, Eccles Public Service Commission, and Mr. Mac Wilburn. I would like to further thank the Georgia State legislators who worked so diligently on a bipartisan effort to get this bill passed. And as Representative Maynor expressed, we are streaming live, and so we would like to thank all our many viewers for participating. Our event this morning will be hosted by Representative Misha Maynor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Without further ado, let's move on in the schedule, and I would like to introduce one of our public service commissioners, Commissioner Tim Eccles. Commissioner Eccles has been actually instrumental in getting this bill passed, although he may not know that. Prior to the session even starting, I had this vision, and I was elected in June of 2020, and immediately I won that primary. I immediately went to work and started asking people, what do I need to do here? What do I need to do here? And so Commissioner Eccles introduced me to a host of people in the renewable energy frame, and thank you, Commissioner Eccles, for being here today.
Thank you so much. Had to get a selfie with one of my favorite people there. So, sir, good to see you here. Thank you for your leadership. So many folks online today and here as we think about technology and the impact that it can have. And I am proud to be one of the financial sponsors today. I want to encourage innovation and technology any way that I can, even though I don't have a degree from Georgia Institute of Technology. I'm just a bulldog. I've tried 3 times. I have 3 degrees from the University of Georgia. Nothing on the South Campus, nothing near math or science. Yet, I mean, what do you do with an English degree, right? A nonprofit organization degree. What do you do with a public relations degree? You run for office, Chairman. You run for office. That's what you do. Now, I'm proud to be on the Public Service Commission. I've been serving you for 11 years on the Public Service Commission. And innovation is such an important part of what we're doing in Georgia. And, there's a growing industry revolving around electric cars and solar and IoT and smart cities, and Atlanta and Georgia really need to be a part of the supply chain for that technology. And that's going to require us to have young people who are aspiring for this. In 1994, I started a nonprofit called Teen Pack, and I still serve on the board. I have a permanent seat on the board. It's in all 50 states, working in all 50 state capitals. So I'm very much love working with young people and believe that we have a great obligation to bring this next generation along and provide them with great opportunities. And I can't think, Representative Maynor, I can't think of any better place for us to do this than your legislative district, and encompassing Georgia Tech and the NCR building, the only double platinum LEED building east of the Mississippi River. Do you realize that? That NCR building, that big glass building hanging out over the connector, that building, every toilet in that building is flushed with a purple line of runoff water. Did you know that? Practically a brand new skyscraper that's using basically runoff water for the plumbing. That's a phenomenal thing. They have so many other things, including a large cistern under the parking deck. They've got solar on that building. They've got all kind of special energy features. And we want to continue to move all of our buildings in that direction. We want to help people take technology and use it at home. I was doing an interview just a few minutes ago about how your iPhone or your just plain cell phone, getting a text message, by going on the Georgia Power prepay rate, we are seeing customers save 11% on their bill, and they're not spending anything on windows, insulation, doors, a new HVAC system, solar. They're not doing any of that. All they're doing is they're thinking about their energy more. You think about it, and those of you that are kind of energy geeks like me, you may find yourself, double checking. Did I turn off all these lights? Is my smart thermostat working? I don't even have a smart thermostat. I'm just religiously changing my thermostat as I'm coming in and coming out because I like to manually do that. But I'm trying to help more Georgians, one, save money on their power bill, and by saving 11%, that's a huge thing. But what Representative Maynor is doing in setting up this authority is with her board, those people are thinking about technology for their area, really for our state all the time. And that's going to cause more schools to think about this, more young people to think about this. We need young people to start aspiring for this at a very young age. Let me give you an example. I'm keeping my 3-year-old grandson today. I dropped him off at camp at 8:45, and I've got to pick him up at 12 o'clock in Gainesville. Yeah, you're looking at your watch. You know that I've got my electric car parked at the aquarium. It's being charged right now. So I'll have the miles to get back. My grandson's only 3, but I've been teaching him car logos. You go, Commissioner, of all the things you could teach your grandson, why are you teaching him car logos? Well, all of his uncles love race cars. My family owned a car auction in Southwest Atlanta growing up. I worked for a car dealership when I got out of college. I love cars. So he can identify the Corvette logo, the Porsche logo. I mean, he's only 3, and he walks up to a Chevrolet and points to the symbol. He calls it the symbol. So at 3, I'm seeing this young man have a great interest in cars. But you know what? We can help young people have an interest in STEM, in science, in math, in technology by exposing them to this, looking for kids who have this aptitude, helping them, putting them on the fast track, introducing them to others who can help them. As adults, that's part of what we want to do, isn't it? We want to help young people who don't know what they don't know. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know all this out there and available. And so we want to identify people who have this technology aptitude, and we want to encourage them. We want to get them the scholarships they need, the internships they need, the apprenticeships they need. We want to get them these things so that they can develop these skills and one day play a significant role in this new economy that we have. So congratulations on getting this bill accomplished, Representative. This is not an easy thing to get a bill done at the Georgia General Assembly. So I do congratulate you for getting it done. That in and of itself is a major accomplishment. But now the real work begins for you and the board. And I'm at your service to help you from a Georgia Public Service perspective. But you know what? You've got to ask people for help. The reason that I even got involved was Allie Kelly called me and said, "Hey, have you met this new representative? She's really got a great idea." Allie asked me to engage. We need to ask officials to engage. don't think they're going to do it just because you have a good idea. You must ask them, and you've got a great one sitting right here, and other legislators who are here who have an interest. And so let's take this interest that we have and let's build it and really be able to move technology forward in Atlanta. God bless you. Thank you. I'm going to get my grandson.
Thank you, Commissioner Echols. The next person up, we're going to change the schedule just a little bit. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Rob Pitts to come up and speak because he has an engagement. So today is going to be a fluid event. People are going to be in and out. It's a Wednesday in the middle of the week. And so without further ado, I'm excited to introduce County Commissioner Chairman Rob Pitts.
Good morning, everyone. And unfortunately, I am going to have to get back to the county. We had a lot going on at Fulton County, as you can imagine. But thank each of you for being here this afternoon. It's great to be joined by members of the community for this exciting event. This year's legislative session, actually last year, saw no shortage of high-profile legislation, and one bill even received national and international attention. That would be Senate Bill 202. However, amidst all of this, one piece of innovative legislation has sort of flown under the radar. State Representative Maynor successfully sponsored and passed House Bill 762 with bipartisan support, creating the Fulton Technology and Energy Authority, which we're here to celebrate today. And you must be aware, as Mr. Echols mentioned, it is very difficult, if not impossible, for a freshman legislator to pass anything. But she did it. And my hat is certainly off to her. But not only one piece of legislation, but another piece as well. The authority members who are here today, I'm proud to be able to serve alongside of you. And our goal will be to eliminate blight, improve diminished areas, lift economically disadvantaged people out of poverty, implement sustainable technology, and usher in a brighter future. Now, while there have been many programs in the past, and I've seen them all with this same goal, this new authority stands out because of the innovative way it will attempt to solve these problems. By forming public-private partnerships with some of the area's premier technology and green energy companies, we will be able to train residents and guarantee them employment once they have certification. We will be working with entities such as MARTA and the Department of Transportation to assist in transitioning to electric vehicles, installing wireless changing stations along bus routes, and reducing congestion via connected corridor technology. There are also opportunities to contract for the construction of renewable energy infrastructure, buildings, and facilities. This is workforce development for jobs of the future being done in a unique and innovative way. And I'm confident that it will quickly become a nationwide model with this outstanding board that the representative has put together for all counties to use as a way to lift communities out of poverty while creating a more sustainable future. We have an incredible opportunity to forge a new path forward and lead the rest of the nation by example. And I can't wait to get started. Now, in addition to serving on the authority myself, I've also had the honor of appointing two people, and I'd like to introduce you to them now. Allie Kelly, you've heard her singled out already, is my sustainability appointee. She's the executive director of the RAY, a partner at Georgia Capital Solutions, and an all-around green energy sustainability expert. Thank you so much for offering yourself and to joining us. And Mary Hunter Caudill is my appointee, who was nominated by Georgia Tech. Now, she has valuable experience in economic development and policy, advising to the former governor of Georgia. I don't believe she's here today, is she? but she will also be an outstanding member of the authority. I'm excited about this opportunity, and will devote whatever time is necessary for me to be an active participant, because I really believe in this, the goal of the authority, and in particular the area in which it's intended to serve. It's really needed, so let's get started. Thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Chairman Pitts. Next, we're going to finish doing the introductions of our board appointees, and we will follow that with introducing the legislators that made this happen. First up, I would like to introduce Ms. Allie Kelly from the Ray. And each board member is going to come up to the stage and speak for a few moments.
Thank you, Representative Maynor, and thank you all who are participating online and here at the Georgia World Congress Center. My name is Allie Kelly. I'm Executive Director of the Ray. The Ray is a 501c3 charity based here in Atlanta and also in LaGrange, Georgia. We have developed, in partnership with Georgia DOT and the Federal Highway Administration, the nation's premier test bed for smart and sustainable transportation technology in the interstate and highway environment. With the leadership of our staff, we're actually working in 14 total states now, with almost 24 transportation organizations to take the projects, the technologies, and the innovations that we've spearheaded and pioneered on Interstate 85 here in West Georgia, and to accelerate their expansion and their adoption into other parts of the country and in other states. So excited to be able to support Representative Misha Maynor and to have supported House Bill 762 during the 2021 Georgia General Assembly. And I'm very pleased to be able to serve in a role that will benefit both Representative Maynor's district as well as the greater Metro Atlanta area and the state of Georgia. We believe, even though the Ray Highway is located on Interstate 85 in a more rural or ex-urban area of the state, that a lot of the work that we're doing down on the Ray Highway has an immediate relevance and translation to the Atlanta area and to Representative Maynor's district. And of the many technologies that we've already discussed today, including wireless and inductive charging of clean electric transit buses, as well as connected intersection technology for emergency vehicle preemption and for freight priority, and for bringing clean energy to power clean transportation for electric vehicles that we believe we can help to introduce to the metro area and to this district in particular. We believe that there are bountiful infrastructure opportunities that the Ray can assist the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority with vetting and to help create pilot project opportunities for this area that will help the district and will help Atlanta continue to lead when it comes to clean energy and clean transportation. I could not end the comments without saying I'm joined today by one of our board members, Alan Anderson, who came from Seattle, Washington, as well as Laura Rogers, our deputy director, who will be speaking at 1 o'clock today on transit and transportation issues. Of course, the Ray is named after Ray Anderson, who was the founder and CEO of Interface Carpet Company and went on to pioneer corporate sustainability and the circular economy for the world. Having an impact on business when business understood the business case, the economics of going green. And we believe that this motivation is something that we can continue to inspire in Representative Maynor's district and in the Metro Atlanta area, that we can, as Ray Anderson would say, we can do well by doing good together. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next up, I would like to introduce Mr. Michael Turpo. Marty Turpo, and he is with the Development Authority of Fulton County.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. My given name is Michelle Turpo, but growing up in Southwest Atlanta, that was rather difficult. So feel free to call me Marty. I am honored to be a part of this new authority with the focus on technology and emerging energy possibilities. The thing that excites me most is, as chair of the Development Authority of Fulton County, I've been a part of a great story in Fulton County for economic development. We're seeing a lot of prosperity here. But at the same time, we need to make sure that those who are from here, born in Fulton, born in Atlanta, born in the metro region, can actually take part in this story of opportunity. And that's my focus. That's just my focus. The fact that we need to be moving towards certificate training so that we can quickly ramp up the workforce, as well as open up minds of young entrepreneurs so that they can start new companies and create new opportunities. When Microsoft comes, we're happy, but let's focus on helping them by providing a workforce and other opportunities here that are homegrown. So that's my focus. I'm honored to work with a great board of professionals and hope that I can add to that choir. And I would like to thank you once again, Misha, for being the conductor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turpo. We do have another board member that was not able to be with us today, and as Commissioner Pitts mentioned, her name is Mary Hunter Cottle. She is with Georgia Tech, and Commissioner Pitts appointed her from Georgia Tech. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Collie Greenwood, and he is our appointment representing MARTA. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Representative Maynor said, my name is Collie Greenwood. I'm here as a real expression of humble gratitude to be afforded the opportunity to participate in something as important and as monumental as this inaugural board. And this appointment means a lot to me personally and a lot to me professionally. I will say that I've been with MARTA just 2 years now, but I've been 34 years in the public transit space. And in the short time that I've been here in the region, I've just fallen in love with this region. The story, the grit, the determination, the beauty that surrounds us, it's nothing short of inspiring. And when you think about participation, anyone that's ever participated in anything does so through a sense of compulsion. Whether it's economic, strategic, social, psychological, there's a compulsion, something that drives you to do whatever it is that you do. And when you combine that compulsion with passion or love, as I have for this region, it's nothing short of a call to action, and that's what I'm feeling this morning. I will say that working in the public transit space, there's a certain innate knowledge that we have in combining technology with the people that need it and the people that deserve it. So yes, transit has its laurels, and our buses, even our diesel buses, are now not just diesel, they're clean diesel, and that's only 30% of our fleet. 70% of our fleet is compressed natural gas, which is even more sustainable and more clean in terms of a propulsion system. And we're not stopping there. As you know, we're moving towards electrification of our fleet and dabbling with electric buses starting this year. Our trains, you take one of our packed trains through a rush hour corridor, and that's representing about 1,000 cars off the road. So transit perhaps could have just stopped there and said, well, we're doing our part. But that's not the case. Many of you may know that we're in the process right now of replacing our rail fleet, which is going to come with its own brand of efficiency and technology never before seen in the city of Atlanta. So we're taking those laurels and we're recognizing that transit is a place where you take the state-of-the-art technology and you take it to the people that you're serving. And we have the honor of serving people in our region that often represent some of the struggles that we're called together to tackle today. So there's a lot of underemployment, there's underhousing, and there's just a lack of access to energy and possibility and economic sustainability, and transit sees that on a regular basis. So I tend to think that we are the confluence of those factors, where the ability to take this high-tech realization and bring it to people that need it, and watch that synergy and watch what happens when people actually have access to the economic what's the word I'm looking for? Somebody, but access to the economy and the economic opportunities that are out there, and so it's what we do. It's a calling of anyone that's in transit, and so this board and participation in this board just seems to me like a natural extension. It feels like this is where I should be. This is what I should be doing, and I will take my my professional expertise in terms of operations and strategic thinking and team building, and I will turn that into my personal commitment, my personal contribution to this board, marrying that with inroads and connections to some of our partner agencies with propulsion systems and electrification and just new technology. And I think together with the people that I've been meeting this morning and the sense of purpose and the energy that I'm feeling in talking to some of these people, I think there's nowhere to go but up, and I think we're the right team to get this vision that Representative Mehner has put together rolling. And so I'm really excited to be here. I thank everyone for your support, and I'm looking forward to getting this work done. Thank you.
That was perfect. Before I bring up John, I want to just say that out of all of the partners, they were chosen strategically. If you're going to change a community, especially a community like mine, which right now is District 56, that community consists of, on one side of 7585, I have Ansley Park, Sherwood Forest, Midtown, then there's Atlantic Station, Peachtree Hills. But go west, there's blight, there's high unemployment, there's failing schools, there's an energy burden. And the vision really comes from this data. And this is why I wanted to stop before I brought John up, because John Bayalis is with the Atlanta Regional Commission, and a lot of the data that I gathered when figuring out exactly how the Fulton Technology and Energy Authority would operate, on what premises, it's really based on data. And so without further ado, Mr. John Bayalis with the Atlanta Regional Commission.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Representative Mehner said, my name is John Bayalis. I'm currently the Intergovernmental Affairs Manager for the Atlanta Regional Commission. On behalf of ARC, I'd like to first thank Representative Mehner and the General Assembly for including us in this amazing endeavor. I'd also like to say what an honor it's been to have been selected by ARC to serve the authority. And it's also an honor to be part of such an illustrious group of folks that will be working on this together over the next several years, hopefully. And to Representative Mehner, I also wanted to mention, as MARTA's former Director of Government Affairs, I have a unique appreciation for serving on the board of the first authority created in Fulton County since MARTA was created. That is just an amazing thing. The creation of MARTA was certainly a landmark moment in Atlanta's history, and I have no doubt this will be as well. The creation of the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority comes at a critical moment in Atlanta's development, and one that ARC has been working toward in one form or another for some time. In fact, just in the past 10 years, the transformation ARC has been a part of throughout the region has seen it become a hub for Atlanta's arts and culture initiatives. It's been part of leading regional education initiatives like Learn for Life and the Get Georgia Reading campaign. It helped the region become a national star in water conservation. Yay, Water Wars, Supreme Court decision. And helped establish the Atlanta Regional Transit Link Authority in an effort to foster greater regional coordination for the patchwork quilt of transit authorities serving the metro region as a whole. And I'm also happy to announce, in case you haven't heard, as of July 1st, ARC will welcome an 11th county jurisdiction when Forsyth County becomes a full recognized member of the Atlanta Regional Commission territory. And as an agency, we certainly welcome the opportunity to take on bigger challenges like those laid before us with the TEA. And are we calling it TIA? Are we calling it TEA? I know you and I have exchanged a couple emails with different acronyms. I'll refer to it as the authority for the rest of these remarks. In ARC's role as a regional leader and partner to our local governments, we work to focus the attention of our region's leaders toward addressing current and emerging issues through resources and sharing those resources that lead to building better futures for all residents. I pledge to bring that same philosophy to the table in my role on the board, working to help the region to be the very best it can be, tapping into the untapped resources we know exist. And most importantly, as Representative Boehner alluded to earlier, using the power of data to propel sound decision-making that creates better lives for those most in need. On a personal note, Atlanta's been my home for a little over 20 years. I've dedicated myself over those years to making my community a stronger, more vibrant place for all. I actively sought out my job at MARTA after having worked in federal policy for a number of years. And my passion for lifting up our region is a driving force in my everyday life. And I'm excited to have been given the opportunity to bring that passion to crafting solutions to these issues that will create opportunity and reduce barriers on such a hyper-local level. And finally, in closing, I want to express my gratitude once again and offer big congratulations to Representative Boehner on her achievement with the passage of the bill. I certainly have been part of the soup to nuts process of getting bills passed, and having gone in 1 year from a pre-file all the way to 11:45 on sine die, I understand how difficult it is to get anything passed. So congratulations again. It was a terrific effort. Thank you very much.
We are going to go back to the program where we should have gone earlier, and sorry to my colleagues at the General Assembly. I'm going to call them up one by one because even though this was a vision of mine, you cannot pass anything unless your colleagues vote on it. And so with that being said, Representative Shay Roberts, she represents a portion of Fulton County. Well, I represent a portion. And so, Ms. Roberts, or Representative Roberts?
Thank you. Yes, my district. Hi, everyone. I'm representative for District 52, which is fully encompassed in Fulton County. So this project, when Representative Boehner described it to me, it just sounded so innovative and exciting, and I could not get behind it. And listening to all of this team that has been assembled for this board, y'all are amazing, and I'm struck with so much hope that this is going to be really, her vision is going to come to life through all of you. So thank you for your service, and I'm just happy to be a part of this and proud of my colleague.
And of course, I must recognize Representative Ms. Mandisha Thomas from the 65th. If you can please come up, because this could not have been possible without you.
Greetings, everyone. State Representative Mandisha Thomas of the 65th District. I represent about 83% of Fulton County, about 17% of Douglasville. Honored to be here today. The technological resources that are going to increase because of this authority is phenomenal. Not to mention the hundreds and hundreds of jobs that Representative Misha Maynor of the 56th District has brought before us. And I just want to publicly honor you and thank you for what you've done, having the zeal, the aptitude, and just the tenacity to go forth and push this for our county. Thank you so much, Misha.
And we do have a representative from Representative Stacey Evans' office. Miss Olivia, if you can come up and say a few words. And we have one other state representative that I would just like to acknowledge, Representative Marvin Lim. He represents the Gwinnett County area. Olivia?
Thank you all. Thank you for including me and Representative Evans. She's sorry she can't be here today. But I know when she talked about this with me privately about what was in our policy package, you could tell that she was just so excited about the opportunities that this would be for our constituents and for us, the city of Atlanta. Representative Evans represents District 57, which is all in Fulton County, and represents a large part of and a very diverse group of people. And I know that this will bring a lot of great things for our area. So thank you so much for including us. I'm excited for the board to see what y'all come up with, and I'm interested, especially when it comes to MARTA. But yeah, thank you again, and have a good day.
And next we have Representative Marvin Lim. Now, although he does not represent any portion of Fulton County, he is an attorney, and he advised me on verbiage for this bill, so he was critical in the passage of it.
Thank you, Misha. Without establishing attorney-client privilege, I'm ethical above anything else. Let me put it this way. I've been on a tour meeting with many commissioners because I come from a district that is, while we are in Gwinnett, which has a reputation for having a lot of resources, 25% of our people are at or below federal poverty levels, and that was before COVID. We can only imagine what the stats will reveal now. That's American Community Survey statistics by the Census Bureau. So we are a transit desert, a food desert, a childcare desert. And of course, we also have problems with obviously just our local economy and people there having jobs. And there are many models for doing that. And thank you as well to Ali Kelly for being a champion of my district. But let me put it this way. We're doing all of this work in my community. But I met with Commissioner Nunn the other day, who is the DCA, or Department of Community Affairs Commissioner. And I told him about your authority, Misha. And I was like, Commissioner Nunn, can you just somehow make me an authority of my own community? Now, again, there are so many models, but all of that is to say I am so proud of what you've done, Misha. It's certainly a model for the work that I'm doing in my community and also throughout Georgia and nationally, because even if you're in a metro area, whether you're ITP or OTP, certainly in the rural or ex-urban areas, there's a lot of burdens and there's a lot of inequality. But why not turn that into an opportunity, particularly for innovation and sustainability? And that's what you're doing, Misha. So thank you for it. I was very happy to vote, at least for your bill.
Thank you, Representative Lim. We're at the portion of the schedule today, and again, thank you for our online viewers. We have a new link that is out, and the viewers are still there, but the link has changed. So we'll make sure that we get that to everybody here today to make sure that you can share the entire program for today. We have introduced all of the board members, and one thing we did not do is really tell you what will this do, right? And so many people here already know what it will do, but I want to, for the people online, I think it's important for me to give you a summary of what the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority will do. First, it was based on what areas, based on data, what areas have high unemployment rates. So dots went on a map. Then we said, okay, what areas have failing schools? And according to the state of Georgia, we said a F or a D grade. So we plotted those areas on a map. Then we said, what areas have statistically high energy burden? So we plotted those data points on a map. Then we said, what areas have poor third grade reading levels, poor aptitude in the 8th grade, decreased graduation, high school graduation rates, and we plotted all these data points on a map, and the data points to my district. There are a lot of other districts, especially in South Fulton as well, and so the good thing about this Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority is, although we're going to start in my community, which is right downtown, within miles of Fortune 500 companies, I do want the people in South Fulton to know that this authority will help you as well. The other thing that is important about this authority is I grew up in West Atlanta. When I was growing up, the road was called Simpson Road. Now it's called Joseph Boone. Marty is doing his head, and so he knows that means that is not the most favorable place to grow up in Atlanta. And I can tell you, as a child, when I would get off of the school bus, literally I would run home because there were crackheads, as soon as I got off of the bus. So that was scary, as a child. And that community, well, I'm 46, so almost 50 years later, it's still the exact same. There's still crackheads walking right there when kids get off the street, so nothing has changed. And so when I was elected, the one thing that I want to do, and I don't care if I'm reelected again, but while I'm here, the one thing that I want to do is make sure that a child, when they get off the school bus, they're not afraid to walk home. And how do we help that? We make sure that people get jobs. People commit crimes because they don't have jobs. No one is just committing a crime because they want to do that. And so what the Fulton Technology and Energy Enhancement Authority will do, you do not need a high school diploma. You do not need a college degree. There are companies that are looking specifically for a skill set, right? And so some of the examples I give are Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Azure, Adobe Photoshop, expertise in SEO marketing. All you need to do is go through some soft skill training and some specific technology or renewable energy training. And on the back end, companies are willing to pay the authority to train people, because there's a lack of a business term, and I hate that it's called this, but it's called human capital. There's a lack of human capital within technology and the renewable energy space. And so the overall vision for this authority is to create jobs. Underneath that, as we build up people, you also will have to build up the community. And in particular, if we build a building like Commissioner Eccles said, the NCR building, which is completely LEED, we need to train the people in the community to have we need to train the people in the community to be able to build in those alternatives.
So I'm here with Allie. We're at the Georgia World Congress Center, and let me tell you what struck me about you. When the representative said that you were a sustainability expert, tell us about this as we gear into this first technology conference. Just tell us about your sustainability.
Well, a lot of the investment in the United States right now is being directed at innovations and technologies that support carbon reduction, carbon removal, removal of other pollution like water pollution, and improvement of our water quality and our air quality. And so that is what a sustainability expert becomes really focused on, are the opportunities for technology and innovation to create a better quality of life and to improve the quality of our resources on our planet.
So how did you get involved in this?
Oh, I've worked in this space for a long time. Transportation is something that I've been focused on for the last 6 years, but I've been working in sustainability and conservation in one form or another since the early 2000s.
So when the representative said, look, I would like you to be on our board, what was your immediate response?
Well, I've been working with Representative Maynor since the beginning of the year to support House Bill 762 in the Georgia General Assembly. So I've become really acquainted with the concerns that the representative has about her district and the challenges that the district has faced for so many years with that really systemic poverty and systemic lack of opportunity in the area, and ways that we might break that cycle with public-private partnerships and with technologies and innovations that are focused on jobs of the future that will bring a better quality of life to the district and will also improve water quality, air quality, and the natural assets of the district.
You know what, that is really so beautiful. So I see where people just need to learn how to. What's going to be the how-to?
Well, the how-to is, what do we focus on first in the district? And there are a lot of opportunities for the authority that Misha has created and for this conference today to find support at the local level, at the state level, also with the Biden administration and the federal level to create opportunities and to train workers in Atlanta to be actively prospering in those new technologies and those new areas of development.
So a long time ago, we heard about the World Wide Web, and I started my career some 40 years ago as a graphic artist at a drafting board. Technology has come a long way. Do you think it's going anywhere?
I mean, technology is going to take this country and our world into a new place because of data. So there's everything now has an association with ones and zeros, with the data behind, where you are, what you're doing, where you're going, what you're saying, the air that you're breathing. There's a data cloud around all of that, and we need to develop a workforce who can leverage that data cloud for good, to create efficiencies, to create new wealth and new productivity, and to use that data to find where we need to improve. So from a sustainability perspective, we're really concerned about understanding exactly where we are with air quality, with water quality, with clean energy, with transportation and mobility, with transit, and how we can improve. And data can really tell us how to improve in those areas.
Well, do you think there's a little scariness to it? Let me preface this. I was talking to my mother, right? And so we were talking about a fire pit in her backyard. Next thing you know, up pops that fire pit from what we were talking about, Wayfair. Yeah. So that means that phone that I had right there heard our conversation. Is that scary as we go into the sustainability area?
It could be convenient. It can also be jarring to know that devices are gathering information even when you haven't proactively activated them or asked for a device to assist you. But devices that are always on, that are always listening for data in the environmental realm and sustainability can actually be very helpful, because wouldn't you like to know exactly when the water quality was fouled, or wouldn't you like to know when there was a release of toxins into the air from one of our Metro Atlanta industries? So there are opportunities for data to be used for good, to identify crises or to identify problems or challenges so that we can react immediately and reduce the number of people who could be harmed.
Well, I think that's so very good. And our water quality lasts. I hear there's fluoride in our water. So what do we do about that?
There are a lot of people who have been, dedicated to maintaining, water quality in the metro Atlanta area, and it's become an even bigger national issue as we've seen how Michigan continues to be affected with the water quality crisis that continues in the Flint area. And, I think that fluoride is, some people support it because they believe it's a benefit, and some people are uncomfortable with it. The best thing that we can do is to continue to hold our officials accountable for water quality information and for the transparency of that information so that you could then make your own decision.
Wow. Thank you so much for what you do. So I'm going to look up more of sustainability.
So tell us why you're here today.
Well, first of all, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Shan Johnson. I'm the Regional Partnership Manager for Generation USA. I'm actually here to talk about what we're doing in the community and the training, free training that we're providing for our people here in Atlanta. So as you know, the global pandemic definitely left a surge in unemployment. So now we have 375 million people of all ages who need to reskill by the year 2030. With that being said, employers are still saying that they have vacancies because there's a skills gap. So with Generation, what we're trying to do, and we know that this economic downfall and the damage that has been done was primarily in the black communities or communities of color. So at Generation, our program delivery model is set up to scale as well as to help fill this gap, the skills gap that employers are looking at. So we have our program, which is a boot camp style training that focus on technical behavior and mindset skills that employers are looking for. Our programs are completely free and 100% online to participants. And in Atlanta, we are working in cloud. So we are doing a 10-week program in cloud certification, AWS cloud certification.
So is there any requirements? Does one need to be unemployed, or could they be employed looking to do another thing in another industry? I mean, how does that work?
Well, so here's the thing. Our program is for ages 18 and up. It is for unemployed, underemployed, and anyone who was affected by the pandemic. And you could be someone who's looking to reskill, and maybe someone who's looking to be in a new industry. However, there's a requirement of age, and of course that you do have a computer. If you do not, we will provide one for you, as well as you have to be able to work in the United States and be a citizen of Atlanta and live within 60 miles. Now, we do have national programs as well. So if you're not interested in the cloud program, you can go online to usa.generation.org and look at our national programs in which we have other areas of technology that you can also train in.
So, as you say, pandemic has hurt a lot of people. Was this something that was in effect before the pandemic, or is this as a result of the pandemic?
Actually, both. Because Generation's model was initially we focused on 18 to 29-year-olds and unemployed and underemployed. So when the pandemic hit, we went to Generation 2.0, moved everything online, and developed all the new curriculum for all the programs. So yes, yes, and yes to the question. So yeah.
Okay, so again, the information, if one were interested, like one, when does it start? And two, how do they sign up, and how do they sign up?
Okay, well, first of all, the program here in Atlanta will start late July, early August, and we will be getting information out to our community partners about the start date. However, you can go online to usa.generation.org in order to find out more about what we're doing, the cities we're doing it in, and what's coming here to Atlanta.
So what's the process once they go through the 10-week cloud program? Then what happens after that?
Okay, so first of all, there is a rigorous application process because we know that this training is not an easy training. There's a lot that you have to learn dealing with the technical skills within 10 weeks. So within our program, we do have support services. We have career counselors and life coaches who help you. Maybe the career counselors might help you with resume writing, cover letter writing, interview tips, as well as options for child care, because you know that a lot of people have child care issues, transportation issues, and we have a resource hub that's online that you can actually go to and get these different options if you are having these barriers into, trying to get into the class. Now, here's the thing. Our classes are 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, so it's not easy. But there are people who do work night and now have like flex schedules that they are able to, complete training. And once the training, so here's another thing. When you enter the training, we do have career counselors who work with you into developing whatever pathway you would like to go. So we have 4 different pathways. The first one would be, of course, full-time employment. The second one would be an apprenticeship with one of our employer partners, internships with one of our employer partners, as well as continuing education, because once again, we partner with community colleges across the United States, and you're able to continue your education and get college credits. So those are the 4 pathways. Another thing, you do not stop being a student at Generation. So we, some programs cut you off after a year. You're forever a Generation alumni. There's always support services in all of our cities that you can reach out, different meetings that you can go to, webinars, professionals coming in and out of the classrooms to speak to. So there's always opportunities and more of a sense of family in the community, to where you, when you do get into the job, you can still call our career counselors or life coaches, and I'll kind of help you get through those everyday situations in order to keep your job.
So is there a cutoff as far as it relates to the number of people? Like, how many opportunities are available?
Well, with employment, or you saying with,
with
the training? There's 50 people participating in each cohort. So usually after one cohort, 10 weeks, we have a 2-week span, and then we start another cohort. Yes, but it's up to 50 participants in each cohort. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it is that many job availabilities out there?
Well, like I just said, there are a lot of job vacancies according to employers because there is a big skill gap. You have 375 million people who need to learn these new skills. There are jobs. We have one of our employer partners who has pledged to put 3,000 graduates into jobs by 2022. So yes, there are jobs out there, but we also need the people to come in and get the training so we can get them the jobs.
So 10 weeks, that's all it takes, and you'll have life coaches and all kinds of support, and it doesn't cut off. That sounds like a plan to me. How does one get in touch with you, and how do they sign up for this program?
So once again, you can go to usa.generation.org, and you can contact me, Shan Johnson, at Shan, that's SHANN, at generation.org.
Well, Shan, we certainly appreciate you, and it's a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you.
So what we're seeing is in our research over the last 10 years, we're seeing these new generations of millennials and even younger generations now, Generation Z. We are seeing them gravitate and have a tremendous sensitivity to ecology and just in doing things in a sustainable fashion. And so as we live in a very consumer-driven and consumer-led environment and marketplace here in the United States, I believe what we are seeing is we are seeing the trends unfold that are driving consumer behavior towards sustainable and resilient solutions. So those younger generations are not the generations of old that were around centralized power plants, etc. They are all about resilient, distributed microgrids and more resiliency, independency, and the like.
The first thing that I will kind of advocate for when we're talking about transit and energy is to focus on energy efficiency. So the best energy is the energy that we don't use, right? So if we can start that by getting the energy consumption down, this makes our job of providing clean energy for the rest of the system a little bit easier. So, one idea and one project that I was involved in in Baltimore was a wayside energy project for the trains. Now, the way that this system works is, basically you have trains coming into the station, and we have what's called regenerative braking. So as you're coming to a stop, you lose all of this, mechanical energy. And normally, it just kind of goes out. But you can actually recover that energy, and you can store it in supercapacitors, which is kind of like a battery, but batteries kind of, they release the energy slower. Supercapacitors release that energy very quickly. So you store it in the supercapacitors, and then when the train is ready to take off from the station, you release that energy, and it moves the train faster. So you end up saving something like 20% efficiency with this wayside energy storage system. So that's number one. Number two, solar. So we have a lot of opportunities to build solar on transportation assets of all types. Transit stations, parking areas, buildings, all of those places are prime spots to build solar. We can even build solar on bus stops and things of that nature. And then moving on to electric vehicles, we are, seeing an increase in electric buses coming online, and we have now the capability to do wireless charging of EV buses, both, stationary and dynamic wireless inductive charging. So stationary can be at the bus stops, and dynamic can be the in-lane charging as the bus drives down the road. And why this is a great, piece of technology is, kind of a lot of different reasons, right? So if you have in-lane charging, you can distribute the energy load across the city. So it's not all concentrated in one area that would require, big grid upgrades. You can also reduce the size of your batteries on your buses. So, basically, if you can kind of energy snack as the bus moves around the city, you don't have the long EV charging wait times at a central location. There is basically no change in behavior that is needed for the bus drivers, which is great. The same thing with the inductive stationary charging at the bus stops. The bus driver can just drive over, they get the charge. The other great thing about this too, and I know something that transit owner and operators are really concerned about, is making sure that as we switch over to electric buses, we provide the same level of service, right? So there are a lot of people throughout the city that rely on those buses to get to their jobs, to get their children to school, to daycare, and there absolutely cannot be a disruption in those services. And so this has been, one of the areas that practitioners have been trying to basically figure out, right? How do we transition over to electric buses to make sure that we don't have those buses breaking down or running out of charge halfway through, the day, and then we can't provide buses to our citizens. And so if we have in-lane charging, inductive charging, stationary at the bus stops, this helps alleviate part of that problem of, basically range anxiety or fear of running out of charge. So something to consider as we're transitioning over to electric buses. And then, while we're providing energy for our buses and we're building solar on our different transit and transportation assets, why don't we just connect the two, right? So, it's very kind of easy, right, to connect solar to EV charging. Generally speaking, you also connect to the grid, but you can use clean power generated on site to run your electric buses. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about hydrogen, because I feel like this is a technology that is, there's a lot of research and development on hydrogen underway, and especially as we're talking about medium and heavy duty vehicles. So, again, buses. This is one area that I think maybe we should keep an eye on, because there are going to be certain areas where maybe your load connecting to the grid will be, too high or too expensive to do those grid upgrades in certain parts of the city. And hydrogen can provide kind of a nice alternative to that. So we're not quite there yet, but I do think that that this is one technology that we should be paying attention to as it starts to come online and get cheaper, basically. And so those are kind of the top technologies that I wanted to talk about, specifically as they relate to transit. I know that we primarily work on our test bed in West Georgia, which is highways, but the same technologies that we are demonstrating on the Ray Highway are applicable to other types of transportation assets, including transit. And I also want to say that, the other cities that we are working with, City of Austin, Charleston, Baltimore, others, on these same types of issues and problems are also, I think that there's a great value in peer exchange between cities. And so we know that we are moving quickly towards transportation electrification in basically all markets. And what we need to do really is to have multiple pilots, multiple projects going on at the same time in different parts of the country, and then learning from each other so that we can get better very quickly, rather than just kind of taking on that whole burden all on our own.
This has nothing to do with politics and more about generation. Talk about that, because I think outside the box just a little bit. And I know that with these type of things comes pushback of some degree from politicians, because there are people who make money, and you're tapping into that, Steve, and you're tapping into that, David. But it makes perfect sense. Talk about the political ramifications, if you will, about.
If you have a disruptive event, we are going to protect and ensure not only the investment stays intact so it doesn't have to be replaced, but also we're going to do everything possible to ensure the continuity of service, of power, of water, whatever it may be. That's what zSphere does in a nutshell. And the reason why Steve and I and our teams are working so closely together is we are both very advanced solutions, and ironically, we came together as we did, but ironically we complement each other extremely well, given where our marketplace and our younger generations want to go. They want to go fully sustainable. They don't want to be burning petroleum and fossil fuels. They want renewable. They want sustainable. And what zSphere does is we introduce a new paradigm of complete resiliency on top of the equation, which when you're talking about whether it's, let's talk a little bit about recent disruptions to our power grid, different examples of existing infrastructures and their susceptibility to climate change, to the various freak winter storms, the mega drought in the West, which is threatening hydropower, things like that. What does that mean?
So I think most people here have heard of what's going on in Texas, ERCOT. I think there's someone from Texas I met earlier today. What I would say is when it comes to natural disasters in parts of this country, I think Texas, everyone said they tried to blame it on the renewable companies, but it really wasn't. My view is that if they had some sort of storage there, they wouldn't have had the problems as bad as it was. And that's another discussion around long duration storage. But what I'd like to tell you guys is what we have 5 main products, right? The first is electrical generation with 0 carbon footprint. Second is process heat. So it's just a way for big organizations in manufacturing to get electricity instead of burning oil or gas. They can get it through renewable. And Bill Gates has a company called Heliogen. You can look that one up. That does only process heat through concentrated solar power. The third is water desalination. So when David talks about clean water, whenever there's a hurricane, say in the Caribbean or something, or here, they always lose electricity, then they lose water, right? So we have the ability to take dirty water, brine, brackish water, and through the process of not reverse osmosis, that's too long, but we can do it through distillation, and we can provide clean, portable drinking water. So not only do you get clean electricity, we can give you clean drinking water. So that's something else. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about was the previous speaker said something about hydrogen. I was going to ask a question, but you had so many questions, so I didn't ask. But we can also do green hydrogen, right? So this is the future. She's absolutely right. You should be looking at it. So the big oil companies and the big gas companies, they're scrambling right now. They see their market share going down. They see a lot of changes. There's an energy transition that's going on around the world. So now they're looking at hydrogen. It's a gas, right? They can burn it, and it's clean. But the problem, which I think you did bring up, is that the way they make hydrogen today is really expensive. The Haber-Bosch process, it produces a lot of methane. Actually, it produces twice as much methane as they do hydrogen. And methane, as everyone knows, is the most dirtiest thing you can ever put into the atmosphere. So what do? Right? There's green hydrogen. You can use solar panels to create electricity to power the electrolysis machines. Electrolysis just goes into water, and then it basically siphons off the hydrogen. You can store the hydrogen somewhere. What we can do, and so I should say, there's methane production. That's brown hydrogen. If you capture the carbon dioxide when you make the electricity, if you capture that, that's blue hydrogen. Or there's green hydrogen where you have 0 carbon footprint. And the way we do it, because we can produce green hydrogen, and we're talking to a bunch of companies about that, we do is a process called thermolysis. So we're creating we don't produce, there's no carbon dioxide or sulfur or hydrogen or methane that we produce. So I think that is the future. The only problem with hydrogen is so small. It's very hard to capture it and keep it somewhere. So what they do is they freeze it, cryogenics. That's expensive, so that's another problem. But what I think the solution is going to be is they're going to take the hydrogen, they add nitrogen to it, then you form ammonia. Ammonia is very easy to transport. You can make it liquid ammonia, put it on a ship or on a truck. But most countries in Europe, they're looking at hydrogen as the future. I always say this, Saudi Arabia, which is the largest producer of oil in the world, they just designed a plot of land the size of Belgium to make green hydrogen. This is Saudi Arabia. So what does it mean? It means that they're less dependence on oil, more dependence on green hydrogen. So it's the future. Like, Standard Oil, 1870, they were running everything with the coal and the oil. And that's what made us a rich country, right? So now things are starting to change, and I think that hydrogen is going to play a huge role. Natural gas is not as dirty as coal or oil, but it's a transition fuel. It's not going to be there forever. So I think hydrogen is, all you need is water to create it, and the offset is nothing. So that's it. And then also hybridization. So in Georgia, there's a lot of coal plants here in Georgia. So they produce a lot of dirty particulate matter. One of the things that we can do, we can actually co-locate with coal plants and produce clean steam, basically pushing that into the turbine, which will ultimately reduce the amount of coal that they burn. So that's a very affordable way to do decarbonization of the atmosphere, which from President Biden all the way down, everyone's talking about how do you decarbonize the atmosphere, which, it looks like everything's fine, but the ozone's getting smaller, the polar caps are melting, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. So yeah, we're here in Georgia, not only just for this event, which thank you for inviting us, but we're working with some cities as well in Georgia to bring them clean energy, or just they want to have a green eco park, so we can help them with that. And I was just talking to a few of the people in here. There's a lot of opportunities for us to do a lot of projects in Georgia. He's from Georgia. Oh no, you live in Georgia, don't you? So go ahead.
I do. So thank you for that, Steve. So one of the things that I want to call out and I want to emphasize is one of the things that attracted us most to We Solar CSP is the very simple understanding of this, is that it requires no fuel, no petroleum fuel whatsoever to operate it. It's operated by the sun exclusively, and it provides and gives off zero emissions. So I would challenge anyone, can you have a better alternative energy source? I would argue that you cannot.
And storage as well.
And I was going to get to that. So there's two more key things to understand about We Solar CSP and why it complements zSphere so well. Those two things being space. So a lot of the places where zSphere we're finding tremendous demand is in places like the coastlines of the U.S., the Florida Keys that get ravaged regularly by hurricanes, the Caribbean islands, etc. And as you can imagine, those places are very expensive in terms of real estate, right? So one of the fundamental problems that We Solar CSP addresses, and that zSphere does as well, is the small use of space. So most people don't realize that, and I'm here to share with you just some general statistics that I've learned over the years, is that today the average solar farm to provide a megawatt of electricity requires 7 acres of land. And I'm here to share with you that We Solar CSP uses a fraction of that space to provide the equivalent power and capacity. So just from a real estate perspective, it's has a tremendous advantage over PV, not to mention the multiple facets and capabilities that We Solar has. Now, on the other side of the equation, and Steve asked me to mention this, is the other distinct feature that We Solar CSP has is their ability to capture and store that thermal energy that they've created during the day. And unlike PV solar panel technologies that rely on batteries, lithium batteries, whatever the battery technology is of the day, what they do is they use a very simple methodology that's very good for the environment and very easy to produce. What they do is they store that energy, and that thermal energy sits there in reserve overnight and generates power as you need it overnight. Unlike conventional solar and battery solutions, once you get past 3 or 4 hours after the sun sets, they are out of power, and then they have to revert back to the grid. We Solar CSP, what they do is they are able to generate power all night and not go back to the grid. So when you look at it as a comprehensive next generation type solution, they are a tremendous answer in terms of.
I think we're going to hire him for PR.
Thanks,
I
Steve.
think that the storage. Okay, so I always call long duration storage the killer app. You're a technology guy, right? Yeah. You asked the technology question. So the problem with electricity today, Texas, anywhere, is that once they generate it, it has to be used. There's no storage, right? There's no storage. So I think the key, and I think this is what the rest of the world is finding out, is you have to store the electricity. That's what's going to happen here. They're looking at storage solutions. So what David said, long duration energy storage is a big deal. Now, you look at panels, they have batteries, right? PV and batteries, lithium ion is the big one, which is in your cell phone, which is in the Teslas that everyone's buying. There's cobalt, vanadium, flow batteries. These are all different types of technologies. But my opinion is there's so much money that's going into battery technology that ultimately, through economies of scale, the price will come down, but it's still expensive today. And so I'm not really competing with them because I think that there's enough for everyone. You know, this space is going to be multi-trillion-dollar space. So I'm not trying to knock the PV guys. We just do it a different way. It's a lot more affordable. You know, and that does affect, there's a term called levelized cost of electricity. Anyone heard of that? Yeah. So PV is very cheap, like 1 cent per kilowatt, 2 cents per kilowatt hour, very cheap renewable source of energy. But at night, when there's no sun, it absolutely doesn't work. How does it work? You need batteries, right? So that's why you're hearing a lot about battery tech. The problem with the batteries right now, they're expensive. $200 per megawatt hour or 20 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a lot of money. That takes away the economics of doing a PV deal. So I think this is where we have an advantage, is that we can do long duration storage, 10 to 12 hours all night long for a lot cheaper than 20 cents per kilowatt hour. And I think that's where it makes sense to do business with David, and he's building all these communities around the world. We also can withstand a Category 5 hurricane. We can produce clean water, which I said before. So the only thing that's kind of like why we haven't seen me on the news and CNN with this great thing is because, you know, we basically built the company from scratch, bootstrapped it out of our own savings. I think that is now starting to end. Once we start to build, there's more eyeballs. But we've been doing this for a long time, and so I'm excited about the future, working with David. Yeah, so I think that we've covered most of it, and I'd love to get some questions, as many questions as she just got. So.
Certainly. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, David, you want to add any more?
Well, you know what? I just wanted to share with everyone that the future is resiliency and sustainability. It's not one or the other. You know, climate change is going to affect us for a very long time in different ways, in very unanticipated ways. So we have to be really smart about the way that we're building our future buildings, as well as how we're powering them, providing them fresh water. And we happen to have a very nice collective solution here that is going to address the vast majority of challenges that everyone faces, whether you're a consumer in a residence or you're a municipality or you're a commercial business trying to improve your resiliency and sustainability.
It behooves of everyone, especially my constituents, that we make sure we are thinking ahead and being progressive in how we're thinking when it comes to careers in the future. I'll give you an example. My daughter is 15 years old. She's in the 10th grade, going to the 11th grade, and very smart young lady. She says she wants to be a brain surgeon. She is convinced, and I'm sure if she says she wants to be a brain surgeon, she's going to be a brain surgeon. So I mentioned to her, though, you know, the things that the brain surgeons use during the surgery, right? Have you ever thought about creating that instrumentation or, you know, something in that sort? So it's also a matter of just putting the thought into someone's head. So the first thing that Commissioner Echols said this morning, he talked about his grandson, and you just have to put little seeds into a young person's mind, because if you don't put the seed into their mind that there are other possibilities, then they don't know that there are other possibilities. And so on that note, for the Fulton Technology and Energy Authority, I would just like to say thank you for coming out today. It's all about planting seeds and growing the seeds, and I really do appreciate each and every one of you for coming out today. Thank you so much.